Yo, this is KaeDee,
And this is David.
and we are the K&D Exchange, where we exchange music, and as a result, we exchange ideas, bridging the gap between old and new, with all original music produced by. Enjoy. Okay, people, we are back. Episode 3 of the K&D Exchange. I'm your host, KaeDee. Alongside, you already know the steez. It's KaeDee and David, hence the K&D Exchange. For a quick recap of what we do, we exchange albums, and as a result, we exchange ideas and put new ideas and new concepts, new music in front of us that we wouldn't normally have put in front of us. And, we're bridging the gap. We say this every time. It's because it's true. That's exactly what we're doing. We're bridging the gap between age, between genre, between taste, between technicality, delivery, musicianship, whatever. We're just bridging it. Any gap, we're bridging that shit. Wouldn't you agree, David?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The one word master. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're just going to get straight into this. A slight difference from last week's episode was a bit hefty. Obviously, it was our second episode, our first proper episode with the first exchange, etc. This time, we will be splitting our segment up into 2 episodes. So we will have an exchange, and then we will do our artist song of the week that we were doing previously. We'll do that as a separate episode. That will be every Thursday. These will be every Tuesday. So you will get 2 episodes a week now, hopefully in, a bit more digestible kind of pieces. So today is our exchange, our second exchange of the series. And David, you begin. What did you pick out for me? I will tell you how I felt, because I have a few things to say.
Goodness me. I gave you D'Angelo's debut, released in 1995. It's called Brown Sugar. Tell me what you thought about it.
I was gonna try and come on and just trigger you and be like, David, why would you recommend this piece of shit to me? Like, it's old, it's dated, it's weak, but that's not the case, because I love this album. Like, it's just straight up. Like, I was gonna build up to me saying that I love the album, but I think just after my 3rd or 4th listen, I was like, nah, this is like, I can't deny. Like, when someone talks about, we had this discussion last time about Big Pun's album being classic, and that sparked off that conversation. I don't think we need that for this.
No.
I can hear it. Right, this is my first time listening to it in 2021. This was what did you say? 1995.
Yeah.
It dropped. Someone tells me this is a classic, I'm not gonna fight him on it. I'm not saying shit, because from first listen, what did you say last time? You said when you suggested it, you said it has that underground, like, what was the exact terms you used? Under a train,
Under a railway bridge, like something like proper underground, right?
That's exactly what I imagined when listening to it. This embodies that neo soul kind of sound, which I'm surprised I haven't jumped into D'Angelo's music further. I told you I listened to Voodoo, but even then that was like a surface level listen. It was like in the background, and it was like, I remember being like, oh yeah, that's cool. It sounds good, but not deep diving. I didn't do anything like that. This one, I'm really glad I did, because I like the whole, Erykah Badu is kind of like neo soul, right?
Absolutely, yeah. They're from the same
Baduism. Yeah.
They're from the same school. So
Right.
I don't know if you've read Questlove's book, the drummer from The Roots. But basically, like, he...
Is that the one where he's talking about the records and stuff?
Yeah. I can't remember what what that's called.
Mo
Exactly.
Better Blues.
That's the one, yeah. So my good friend and friend of the show, he was in touch with me. Yeah, that's the album. That's the book. So basically, you know, they all come from the same sort of school. They were all like vibing with each other. So the Roots, Mos Def, Erykah Badu, and D'Angelo as well. Yeah, there was a house like
because like Common's Like Water for Chocolate was made with that. Yeah.
So my friend said to me today, he was just like, well, you know, D'Angelo and Questlove, they released, well, them and their mates released like a hell of a lot of music in '95. There was Baduism, there was Common, there was Brown Sugar as well. So, you know, Questlove wanted to create like an ecosystem of music, and you can tell that there's
I remember hearing that. Yeah. Oh, reading that. Sorry. Yeah.
So my friend reminded me today. He was just like, "Well, you know what you said on your last pod. Like this is what how it is." And I was just like, "Thanks, man. You know, that's what you get for spitting off the dome." Like,
fair. I mean, I really can hear it in this because, like, I love the beats. I love the production. I love, I think that, and the first song was produced by, I'm going to mess up the name, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, who's part of a Tribe Called Quest. Yeah. So it made sense. I love the first song. I love Brown Sugar. Now that song got stuck in my head. Yeah. Like continuous, like straight after listening to the whole album, that song was sticking in my head. And it felt like, maybe it speaks to its like classic nature. It felt like a song I had heard before already. You know, when you hear a song and you're like, I feel like I've known that song forever. Or I feel like I've heard it somewhere. I feel like I should know this song already. This is just my first time properly sitting with it. It kind of speaks to that, how classic it is, how much of an impact it made. Maybe it's been sampled before. Maybe that's why. I mean, one of these songs, Lady, I'd heard that before because The Game sampled it in 2012. He had this song called All That Lady on his album Jesus Piece. And it had like Pusha T on there, it had Big Sean on there, I think it had someone else. And that sample, and I remember there was this big thing about it when it came out. People being like, whoa, he flipped that D'Angelo sample, it was sick. And Dr. Dre texted him apparently and like was like, I love how whoever the producer was, I love how you flipped that D'Angelo sample. And I was like, oh, okay. What's the original song? I'd never heard it before. I'd never heard of D'Angelo back then. So I'd heard that song, and Brown Sugar, amazing. I fell into the trap of thinking it was about a dark-skinned woman, but it's not. It's about marijuana. I didn't realize that. So, you know, and there's one lyric when he talks about like she has like a cousin, or no, she has a friend by the name of Chocolate Thai.
Yep.
And I was like, when I first heard it, or second time I heard it, I was like, what's he mean when he says that? Is that just a wordplay thing? Like, because, you know, because she's dark skinned and then I'm smoking weed, I've got the chocolate tie as well. You know, she's bringing the weed or something. Couldn't get off this idea that it was about a woman, not that the whole song was just about weed, basically.
I would go one further. I thought it was about like heroin, actually. Brown Sugar. I thought it was like his drug problems are sort of like prevalent throughout his career. And I think that's why he disappeared after doing voodoo for like 13 years or however long that was. So
did he have drug problems during this?
I believe so. Yeah,
okay.
I believe so. So last episode I said that the drug problem started after. Actually, upon listening to it again today, it's quite easy to see that he's battling it throughout this album. Like it's like, for me anyway, like I could kind of get that impression.
Sure, that makes sense. That's weird actually. Maybe when I go and listen to it again, it might give me a different perspective listening again.
Yeah,
but I fully got that underground feel from it. This you know the term Soulquarians? That's not linked to this whole neo soul group, is it? Or is that something else?
So that's not a term that I'm overtly familiar with.
Yeah,
I've
it's just
heard the
popped into my
name.
head.
Yeah, I've heard the name. It sounds very much like an Outcast kind of thing to say, you know.
Oh, that might be what it is. That might be what it is.
You know, like Aquemini and things like that. Just weird word plays that they do, like Spotty Yachty, Doppelicious, and
yeah.
that's one of my favorite Outcast tracks. It's one of my favorite Outcast tracks. Anyway,
actually, I just looked it up. I think Soul Aquarians is what we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Because on Wikipedia it shows Common, Mos Def. It's talking about Questlove and how they want to start
cool.
that kind of. So yeah, I had a feeling. I was like, yeah, because I remember reading that book, the Mo Better Blues one.
Yeah.
And Questlove talking about that, because I love Common's Like Water for Chocolate.
Yeah.
And Jay Dilla was a big part of that. And I think Common was with Erykah Badu at that time as well. He was in a relationship with her, and she was informing a lot of the music or something. I think. Yeah, and you can kind of tell. That's one of his best albums to me. And yeah, I could tell, listening to this, I could tell it was from the same
sort of school.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I love the beats. I love the music. Apparently Brown Sugar was just going to be like intermission music.
Oh, thank God.
It turned into something else, because D'Angelo, he was playing some chords and he just kept going on it, and then it turned into something bigger than actually what it was originally going to be, and it became its own song, and then it became the title song, and then it became the first song.
Yeah.
So that's cool, isn't it? And imagine, you just think how close it is that you get a classic song like that, and it just might not have come into existence.
No.
Like, are there other songs out there that are small, deep cuts or intermission songs, and had they just been, I don't know, fleshed out, they could have become classic songs we don't know about?
Yeah, I think of the infinite possibilities that there could have been, you know?
Yeah. Once you get to that level, you just think, is it even worth thinking? Like,
Absolutely not. I mean, we should be thankful for the music that we actually get to.
I was about to say,
digest. And the thing is as well, I was thinking about this earlier on, you know, how lucky are we that we live in today's, you know, society? Like, we can go back and listen to how many decades worth of music at the drop of a hat, and you know, you get shows very much like this who can go back and listen to absolutely brilliant albums. The thing and the thing about this album, for me, I mentioned last podcast that it had a lot of like good memories, like good familial memories. And I just like to share this.
Sure.
So my Uncle Ken and Auntie Linda, their taste in music heavily influenced mine. We would go around there as kids, and they would have all kinds of cool music, right? They got me into like Tupac, they got me into like Jamiroquai, they got me into D'Angelo, they got me into like, you know, lots and lots of really good sort of underground hip hop that I had no idea about at the time. There was Common, A Tribe Called Quest, just so many. But this album in particular, especially the title tune, really tickled my Uncle Ken. Like it just got him. It got hold of him, and it just wouldn't let go, you know? Right. And we used to have to wheel this tune up. Like, I know this tune. Like, it's burned in my brain. Like, it's one of my favorite songs of all time, because we're all, you know, jamming in his living room, like him and his like kids and that, and it's just a really, really nice sort of, even though it's about drugs and heroin and sadness, it's just got that kind of underground feel where actually like there's a bit of togetherness as well, for me anyway.
You can vibe kind of to the music, like it's very easy to bond over that.
But then good. Absolutely. And also, like, I find upon listening to it again, this album, like Jones in My Bones, what are the good ones? Oh, Cruising, Smooth, like, shit, damn motherfucker. Like, those tunes.
That
like,
one, yeah, I love that song.
There's a lot of, like, there's like this weird sort of latent sexual energy. Like it's like a sexy song, like it's sexy album. It's really like, I wonder how many babies were made to that album, because like, goodness, it just kind of just comes out like it really brings it out.
It
does, but then it's also like effortlessly cool. when you
Yeah.
listen to it, like the oh, I'm getting excited. the like the way that he plays the piano on that, like little,
Yeah.
he just tickles the keys like every now and again on some songs, especially on like Jones in My Bones, just little like little bits on the organ. It's very, very reminiscent of, I don't know if you know, like, but like Far Side, they used to use like a bit of,
I love Far Side. Yeah.
there's a tune especially called Your Mama.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's like a little just two notes on the organ, but it's just D'Angelo sprinkles little bits like that
I know
all
exactly
over
what
the
you're talking
album,
about,
and it's really, really like just amazing. I would also recommend that you listen to D'Angelo live,
okay.
because you get, I mean, the keys are more pronounced, and that's
Sure,
what
yeah, I
really
can
is
imagine.
so integral to his sound. Because on the album, you got to balance it, you got to mix
Yeah, you
all
got to
the
take out
instruments
certain
together.
frequencies and stuff. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
But live, you get all
of
of
it.
his personality, and he's excellent.
I can imagine. My biggest takeaway, I mean, I love his voice. You know, the texture of his voice is great, especially on When We Get By. Is that the name of the song? When We Get By?
Yeah, When We Get By.
Yeah. I just love the way he sings it. It gets me every single time. Every time he sings it, the melody he chose, the way his voice just, again, you know how we're talking about Big Pun, like seeping in and out of the beat, but still having his own flavor, his own identity away from the beat. In that song, D'Angelo, it's like I can see it. He's like it's like he moves into the music and then just kind of peppers himself throughout it, right? He becomes part. His voice just scatters out and just becomes part of it, and it goes into its own like texture. It's really hard to describe unless I was like to sit here, like listen with someone and be like, yeah, when he does it like that in that particular section, that's what I mean when I use this. It's like musicians and engineers and stuff that use words like warm, and they use like words like timber and it has this feel, and it's hard to describe unless someone's got a frame of reference. Like, this is what I mean when I say warm. Listen to this, or this is what I mean. But yeah, I'm a sucker for drums because obviously I'm a hip hop guy, so I love drums. And the drums on here were just so beautifully done.
Yeah,
the whole album's so beautifully mixed as well. Nothing is out of place. Everything is perfectly in place, but it's not sterile. It's not like overly perfect. There's a lot of like muddy low end in certain parts, which adds to the drive, adds to, I guess, the raw energy, this like the sexiness of it, that kind of raw sexual nature of it is in certain songs. You don't want to cut off too much of that bottom end.
I agree. You need a bit of rough. You need
a bit of that, because you don't want it to be just a bass that you can hear. You want it to be a bass you can feel, right? You want that bottom end to really feel it as well. I mean, that's where the baby making comes in, right?
For real. I mean, I must admit the one thing that I've always loved about his music is his use of the bass guitar as well as the double bass drum. Double bass guitar, sorry.
Right.
Like that listening to the way that I can't remember on what song, but there's one in particular where it is a double bass and somebody is just playing away, and you can hear just the wooden texture of the notes, and it just sort of permeates through the song, and you're like, oh my goodness. But then there's a perfect counterbalance to that when you get to songs like I'll always reference Jones in My Bones because that's such a good tune. Is that, and also Brown Sugar, like the bass is very warm, and it is just bass. There is no middle, there is no treble on that thing at all. It is all bass. Like it is beautiful,
I agree definitely, because this is the kind of the sound of the music is like what I describe as, if you have like the foundation is the drums and the bass, if you think of it like that, that's the hard solid foundation. Everything else is like, how would I describe it? It's like water, thicker than water, just falling on top of it and just falling into the right cracks, falling right into the, if the drums and the bass are the seabed and the rocks and stuff like that or whatever, the rest of it, everything else, the instrumentation just falls into the right parts. It feels full. Nothing is empty. Nothing is gone. Everything is in the right spot. You know, certain things are panned to the right. Some things are panned to the left, and they really tickle your ear on the right when this particular piano comes in, when this particular instrument comes in on the left, or even just the hi-hat kind of doing the little you can hear it there. You can really feel it. It's like multi-directional, and his voice just permeates through perfectly. Right?
Yeah, and that's something
as fuck. It's just
something that we've barely spoken about as well. Like, we've mentioned his voice, and
we've hardly mentioned D'Angelo.
We've hardly mentioned it. So D'Angelo was heavily involved in making the music. He's a musician.
A lot of the production was from him as well. Yeah.
But one thing that also impressed me about this album is also the fusion. So there's a lot of like Motown influences.
Okay.
In the way that he sings.
Yeah.
I was listening to it today, and I was like, when he's hitting falsettos, I was hearing like Marvin Gaye. I was like, oh my goodness, you get it. I got that same sort of feeling. But then there's also fusion with the actual music itself. There's gospel influences, jazz influences,
the jazz
obviously
influences,
R&B, hip hop influences, and they just blend together to make this melting pot of cool. The whole album is
that's
cool.
What it is. It's a melting pot of cool. That's a great way to put it. Like, I can't wait to run this back in the when the sun starts coming out again.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Lockdown or no lockdown, I can't wait to just be like, just sit outside and even if I'm just doing barbecues and stuff for myself, just to have this kind of in the rotation, just to be like, you know what, I just want to play this outside in the kind of in the sunshine or whatever, and just feeling the heat, because it perfectly soundtracks that. But I even would, my first listen, I went out for a walk, and it's freezing cold and everything, and it's icy outside, and it's got that kind of crisp in the air. The album still fit. The vibe still fit for me, because it was just
because it's an ice cold album. That's why.
I'll give it a little 3-second pause.
Listen, it is.
It is ice cold.
WD-40 for all situations. It just works. It just lubricates any situation, bro.
Fucking hell. Okay, yeah. So I like.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, man. You do you. But I don't know what else to say about this. I mean, I can just keep talking about how much I love the drums on here, how much I love D'Angelo singing on here. I love the story in Shit Damn Motherfucker.
Oh my goodness, that's what I wanted to tell you.
So nicely. It's so simple, but it's just delivered so well that you don't need much more from it.
Yeah,
right?
That's what I wanted to say, actually, was the storytelling aspect of it. Like, the way that the song actually sounds, it's kind of got this kind of inquisitive kind of notation to it.
Right,
and it makes you wonder. You're like, do you know what I mean? I'm not gonna deafen the listeners by doing an impression of that, because that would just be offensive, right? But just listen to the song, because you are discovering what's going on as he's discovering. What an excellent storyteller in that song.
Yeah, and in the simplicity of the way he said it as well. A lot of those lines are just repeated. There's not many lines in there. Or when he's like, "Why is there blood on my hands?" or something like that. He says that 3 times, and then he's like, "Why am I in handcuffs?" And it's like, okay, that explains all of it. You don't need all the super detailed stuff. I've just followed the journey with you. I followed it purely through feeling.
Yeah.
This is like your thoughts just kind of saying it as it is.
But he's not even there. He's not fully there, is what I got from that song. It's just, he's just like on a trip or something like that, and something just happened. And he's like, hang on a minute, his brain's catching up to the events that are
what
occurring.
actually happened. Yeah. No, that's a good way. That makes so much more sense. That makes so much more sense. It's like he's observing it, and
he's a passive
his brain
observer.
catching up. Yeah, and his brain catching up to it. Yeah, that's this. I don't know what else I can really say. Like Have you heard the song "03 Adolescence" by J. Cole?
Oh, goodness.
2014 Forest Hills Drive.
Do you know what? I have listened to that album, but back in 2014.
Oh, okay.
So I've heard it, but I can't for the life of me
Can't
remember it. Yeah.
Well, apparently, the song "All Right" is sampled on there. I was trying to think of the song in my head, and I was like, as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, how is it? Maybe slightly. That's usually a good thing where you can get a feeling for it, but the producers flipped it in such a good way that it's not like a direct. He's not.
Yeah.
They've not. I mean, there is art in looping certain parts. Like there's still an art in that. I don't want to downplay that, but there's something about when a producer flips the sample that you get the feeling, but it's not obvious. Oh, he sampled that song. But then when you do the comparison, it's like, shit, how did he take that, turn it into something? Yeah, and to make that. Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other conversation about like sampling stuff, because some people trigger me on that shit.
Oh, absolutely. There are some.
It's not music, you're just stealing from the artist.
So what are you talking about? Check out Apollo Brown. He's the best at it. Anyway.
Check out Primo. Check out DJ. Check out Primo.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
And RZA, like, you're telling me that whoever, I don't know, pick a random musician, John Lennon could have made something like Bring the Ruckus or Protect Your Neck. Like, bruv, don't give me that shit. Like, Robert Plant's not making anything from Gangstar, right? But that's not to downplay him, just saying he's not going to do that. Primo's in his own lane. He's sampling is an art in itself. They're not stealing the music.
They're just repurposing.
They're making something brand, like, that's why a lot of the pioneers of the funkadelic stuff and James Brown and all these kind of people actually embraced it, because it gave their music new life. You'll notice that it's a lot of closed-minded people who would be like fighting on their behalf, but then some of the artists themselves would be like, nah, they gave my music new life.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
They've extended it out from, people go back now and listen to my stuff. Like there was that DJ Khaled song with Rihanna and Bryson Tiller. I can't remember what it was called, but it had this, I really should remember what it's called, but it had this sample in it, Santana sample in it. And people were complaining like, oh, they've stolen that song. And he was like, nah, that they flipped it. And now people are coming back and hearing my song. And, whether you prefer one or the other, that's fine. Whatever, you do you. But the actual act of sampling and flipping it and making something brand new out of it is an art in itself. And that came from, people not having access to, music classes at school and instruments, because they can't have big pianos and stuff like that in the projects in New York, right? But their parents have record players. So then they turn the one source of music in their household into a instrument in itself. How do you not see that as innovation? Why would you downplay that? Like, yeah, that leads into, have you heard the Primo versions of some of these songs?
Over the years, yeah. And I haven't even realized that it was Primo.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So, just for the listeners, we had a bit of a Twitter conversation yesterday.
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So, friend of the show, he was telling us, check out Primo, DJ Premier, blah 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 blah, and we were like, oh yeah, we gonna have to deep dive into that guy. But I did a little bit of sort of preliminary research today about him, and I cannot believe the amount of stuff that I've heard that he has done that I haven't ever given him the mind to be like, yep, you're amazing, So, I mean, there's
so much stuff he's been a part of, man.
Yeah, and that is a conversation on its own.
But I didn't expect for his name to be linked to D'Angelo.
I know.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So that surprised me. I was like, what? Like, what? Oh, there's a DJ Premier remix of this song. Okay. And then I get to a later song. Oh, there's also a DJ Premier remix of this song as well. And it's got AZ on it or Method Man or whoever. And I'm like,
yeah.
What? Like, okay. All right. Like, this guy's just...
He's in everything. He's a blooming chameleon. He's fantastic.
Yeah, and he's got that signature sound that's just, we'll deep dive.
We go, because, he's got a specific... There's a roughness and a gruffness to his...
a roughness and a gruffness, which you could apply to D'Angelo with this whole kind of neo-soul thing as well. Right?
Absolutely.
It's just more soulful. It's more... it's hard to describe. There's levels to it, man. Like, I think for anyone who's into R&B in general, now, old, like, just I think this is like an essential listen, you know. And even for hip hop fans, I think this is you'll find some kind of overlap in terms of its structure and its production, you know, with the kind of the hard drums and that kind of groove, that cool kind of sound. Yeah, it's just that no one's rapping on it, you know, and it's got a bit more kind of varied instrumentation. Not that hip hop doesn't at times, but it's, you know, hip hop sometimes a bit more simple in its approach, especially from the 90s. Like, it's been more direct in certain parts. This is like, the musicality is all there, the singing and everything, the soulfulness, the vibes and everything is there, but there's some overlap. So if you're a hip hop fan, I think this is a good listen as well. You know, I mean, it was for me. It was a great listen for me. If you're an R&B fan, I think of any type, I think this is like an essential album that you should check out. In that sense, I think it's a classic. I can hear the classic nature of it, you know, just listening to it now. Like, I'm not going to disagree with anyone who says, yeah, man, this album's a classic. I listened to it straight away. I thought, yeah, okay, I get it.
And even at the time, though, I must admit, when I was listening to this at my Uncle Ken's house, there was a vibe about this album because we knew we were listening to a classic. I'd never heard anything like this before. Like, nothing was as cool as this. Nothing. And I don't think there is. There are few albums that are as cool as this. I just don't understand. It's like he captured lightning in a bottle, and that lightning's name is cool. Like, I don't know how he's done it. But it is just, you know, but it's a product of, you know, the guys he was hanging out with at the time, and, you know, the excellent production. I think even like Angie Stone's on this album.
She is. She's on Jones of My Bones, I think.
Oh, there you go. That's why I love. That's why I love that.
Yeah, I like her as well.
Yeah.
She was dating him, I think, at the time. I think that's why she was a writer on some of the songs. So that would make sense.
Yeah, that would make total sense. I mean, fantastic album. So you've already said that you'd recommend it, so that's good. Out of 10, what would you give this album?
I'm giving this shit I find it hard to give like high ratings, but then when I don't give it a high rating, I'm like, okay, what justifies? I can't give this like an 8.5 like I gave Big Pun. Like, it needs to be higher than that, right? I'm not going to do the ratings based on like, oh, well, this is the problem sometimes when you do ratings, is that people will be like, but you gave this album this number and this one not. But it's like, sometimes it's based on the artist sometimes, or based on like, you know, your feeling of it. But like,
listen, this is all part of the interaction, bro. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And also what's cool is music and your tastes evolve over time, right? So we can come back like in, say, you know, if we're doing this in like 2 years time or something like that, right? And do it exactly. And ask the question, has it stood the test of time? Does our ratings for that change? So don't worry about it, man. It's all fluid. Nothing stays.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. So I think, but then my problem with this album is that if I give it like a 9, part of me is thinking, why is it not a 10? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's like I have to justify why it's not a 10. And the only thing that I could potentially say, which I might have said before, was, oh, you know, it could have ended at Lady for me, and then, you know, the final song kind of just sipped and sleeped into the background for me. But after repeat listens, actually, that didn't happen, because this time I thought, oh, okay, yeah, we're on the final song. It never really grabbed me like that. This time it did. So I was like, oh, fuck, okay. Literally, this is like, this whole album is basically almost 10 for 10. There's some songs I don't like as much as the others. Not that I dislike them, though. That's the thing. I don't dislike the songs. If you put those on in isolation, we're having a good time, right?
Yeah.
But if I had to pick like a couple of songs, there might be a couple songs that I'm like, yeah, I'd play these. You know, might be at the bottom of the 10.
That's fair.
But they're not out of rotation, though. I'd play the whole album back to front, front to back, sides to side, whatever, man. Each and every way, this album is getting played. So I should have written down a rating. What did I write down a rating? I wrote down 9. I want to give it a 9.5.
Wow, that is sterling album. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I can't disagree with anything that you've said at all, because it's just an album that it not only does it still sound great, like you can kind of, I think the drums tell you the age of the music, right?
Yeah,
The drums definitely do,
especially on All Right, like those drums,
absolutely.
Like yeah,
they are of the time, right?
Definitely.
Of the zeitgeist. But the thing is, if you added new drums to it, not that you'd ever want to, obviously, but if you did, I think this album, you're looking at like a timeless album, because the musicality is just, it's unparalleled. Like, honestly, there were good albums that have come out since, but then you look at, like, you know, the crooners and the singers, and you know, you look at, I don't know, John Legend, and you look at Alicia Keys, and people that came out of the new school. Wouldn't have been possible without D'Angelo, man. I don't think.
Yeah. So you think D'Angelo has like he spawned some babies? That's like the term, isn't it? Like this album has babies, right? Like
I think so. I think people would have studied at the school of D'Angelo. Maybe not in his lifestyle choices, but definitely in,
but musically,
you know, musically, and the way to craft an album. And that's something that I always go on about. Like, how do you craft an album? I think I think the fact that this album has 10 songs on there, I think is a short album, right? But then you listen to all of the songs. The shortest one is like 4.5 minutes.
I was going to mention that too. A lot of them are like 5.5 to 6 minutes. Yeah. But I didn't get bored at any moments during it. Really.
And then the head nodding value. You're just there, just head nodding.
Yeah, the head nod value is insane on this. Like the beats. Sometimes my problem with R&B albums is that, you know, they'll throw in like the soft song and the kind of this song and the ballad song and all this sort of stuff, and it doesn't always make for a good album listening experience for me sometimes. And that may be because I'm a bit swayed by hip hop, unfortunately. So it's like, you know, sometimes like, I don't want to hear this. Like, you know, it'll throw me off my vibe, you know.
I know,
you know, someone like my brother might be like, yeah, but he's just singing so well on this song and they're doing it. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It's just not, maybe like, maybe it shouldn't have been on this album, or maybe it shouldn't have been so high up, or maybe they shouldn't have put all the, I don't know, the bangers in the first half and then suddenly it tails off towards the end. That's not good. That's not good album. I don't know how to say it. That's not good editing. That's not good etiquette. That's not good. Like, that's not how to sequence an album. It's not good pacing. Yeah, you don't put all the action scenes. Like, you know, we made the movie comparison last time. And you stuff all the scenes up. It's like we put all the action stuff at the beginning, and then it just starts to tail off towards the end and slow down. You'll be like, what the fuck is this? It's almost like two different movies, you know? That's been my problem with R&B albums sometimes. This does not have that problem at all. Yeah. It's a great vibe from beginning to end. He sticks to his guns. He doesn't... And you know, you were talking about the baby making thing. Apparently, for Lady, he wasn't completely sold on that because he wanted it to be more complex than it was. He only warmed up to it after someone told him that people had been making a lot of babies to that song. Then he started to... That's a problem with artists sometimes. I can say it from like first-hand experiences. Sometimes you think, oh, this is too simple. Everyone's going to think this was so easy to make, and have a bit of an ego thing of like, I want to show that I really put a lot of skill and talent into this. But then sometimes you sacrifice the song, right? Sometimes the simplest ideas are the best ideas, you know. Sometimes, you know, that
is something that I learned early doors. So when I was teaching myself bass guitar and electric guitar, I used to learn Rage Against the Machine songs. Now, Rage Against the Machine, they're one of my favorite bands, and I actually think they're one of the most important bands that has ever lived. But that's a separate conversation, right? The thing that always got me about them, especially when I was learning bass, right, was just how cool the riffs were, but they were only 4 or 5 notes long, and it was just a nice simple groove. But it's not so much what you're playing, it's the way you play them, and
That's the
simplicity. That's the beauty of it. And so when I got, later on into life, and I was doing like, gigs and stuff like that, I'd always want to sort of like stroke my own ego and play the most complex like guitar solos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then I sort of got past myself, and I was like, no, do what the song needs.
Yeah.
And when you get into that mindset, you start sort of like playing for your fellow musicians. You start playing for the drummer, you start playing for the bassist. You're like, we're all here to make each other sound better. Exactly, and I think the beauty of music is always in simplicity.
Yeah.
So you are right.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes there's room for the complexity, and sometimes there's like the subtle complexity.
Absolutely.
But it's still delivered in a way that's easily accessible. That's the thing, right? It happens with MCs where they're just so overly technical, and it's like, yeah, okay, it is impressive, but sometimes it's only impressive to other MCs, Actually, this isn't a comparison I can make that I kind of heard. I didn't hear this particular comparison, but I saw this video about someone who was a bodybuilder or was well built, and he had like a good physique, and he made one of these stupid like TikTok videos where he was like, guys, don't trust if I can't get girls looking like this, then there's no hope for any of us, right? And someone was like, bruv, I don't think it's all about that. That's your problem, right? Because and he made this good point, and there was actually a girl talking with him as well who was like saying it too, which was, if you go onto Instagram and you find bodybuilders or people with like fitness instructors who are like well built and have good physiques and stuff, and you look at their comment sections, you're probably expecting to see like a lot of women in there. Like that's what that original guy is probably expecting that to happen. That all these women are going in there and be like, wow, you look amazing, blah 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 blah. It's a lot of other men who are bodybuilders or who are fitness trainers. The only other women in there are also fitness trainers, so they're all impressing each other because they're in that field.
Sure.
But if you go to like he made the comparison, who did he pick? I think he said if you go to like Harry Styles or something to his page, and he's this like kind of more slim, unassuming guy, right?
Effeminate.
But yeah, even like that, you look on his comments, there's a bunch of girls underneath that just with just pining for him, right? You see the difference there, and it's like that to me is like when you have the MCs flexing and being like, man, no one understands this, no one gets it, if no one's listening to my shit, then there's no hope for like hip hop anymore, any of that dumb shit. And it's like, well, yeah, you're only out here impressing other MCs. You're not actually reaching anyone. That's the problem. There's no balance to what you're doing. You're just spitting quickly and rhyming a million words at once.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, other MCs may be able to appreciate that, but still, are they bumping your songs in the car, in the gym, when they want to boost, when they want to feel something, when they blah blah blah? Sometimes maybe, or are they just playing it when they're like, they just want to be, I don't know, impressed with something? Like if you go on YouTube and you watch, man spits a million words in 5 seconds. It's almost like that. You watch it just for the quick thrill of it. And I'm not downplaying MCs who are technical, right? I love that sort of shit. I mean those kind of, there's certain types who have no balance. They're like, they can't make good songs, right? They just rhyme a million words at once and think that that's enough. Yeah, you're only impressing other MCs, right?
That's it.
So
yeah,
with this, I like how when you listen to this album, he's not throwing in anything that's almost like expected of him. It's not because I can sing, therefore I need to have like this type of song in there. I need to have a ballad in there. I need to have a song about this in there. It's just guns. He sees out the vision and the vibe from beginning to end. And it doesn't matter if the song's about 5.5 minutes long or 6 minutes long. He gets the vibe across. He's doing his thing. You know, you can't really put a time limit on that sort of thing.
But
And
more importantly, like the listener or the observer, if you're at the gig, you don't know that 5 minutes has gone by.
Exactly.
Like I listened to the album today, I felt like I blinked and 40 minutes had gone by.
Yeah.
It was because, you know, it's just the way, you know, he does what the songs need. And there's also something that I'm going to link to my review as well. But it's I find that the names of the songs do justice to the actual music as well.
Yeah,
like
that's really important when that happens.
Yeah, and it's something that I've only really started paying attention to since doing this this podcast.
Okay.
When I heard, you know, like Brown Sugar again, and I was listening to it in all of, you know, the knowledge that I have of D'Angelo and stuff, I was like, oh my goodness, yes, okay, I couldn't think of a better name for this. You know, when you get onto like Lady or All Right, I flipping love All Right. Like, what an amazing song that is. Yeah. Me and Those Dreaming Eyes of Mine, like, they're just wonderful. They're wonderful titles. But then when you couple them with the actual music and the experience of listening to that, it just the whole album just feels wholesome and completely honest.
Yeah, it's the ultimate like synesthesia dream. Because the album, the music looks like the songs, it looks like the titles, it looks like the feeling, and it sounds like it all. Like you could just interchange all those words together. It all looks and feels and sounds exactly like what everything else is. You know, just exactly like you said. My top 5 songs, I would go for Brown Sugar, obviously. All Right, obviously.
Yeah.
Shit Damn Motherfucker. Yeah. When We Get By, that's probably one of my favorite songs on there. I just absolutely love that song. And then Lady. So those would be my
fantastic.
Top 5. Yeah. Those would be my top 5. Absolutely. All right. Let's move to our second album. Should I introduce this one?
Go for it.
Give me your thoughts on this shit.
Oh boy, go on.
Yeah. And I also have to say, I can't believe I've done this twice now. You know when I mentioned Loyal Kana's album at the end of the first episode?
Yeah.
And I said it came out in 2016. It actually came out in 2017.
This is 2019, bro.
Huh?
This is 2019.
Yeah, but I made a mistake, a bigger mistake, when introing this album last time at the end of the last episode. I kept... You know how I was... Yeah, you know what it is. I kept on trying to get the name right. And then there's me thinking I've got the name right, not realizing I'd been fucking up a part of the name the whole time. It's not called Nobody Cares Till Everybody Dies, because that sentence doesn't even make sense. Because I kept thinking, oh, that is a really interesting idea. What the fuck does that mean? And it's only when I listened to it again the other day, and at the end of one of the songs early in the track list, he says, nobody cares till everybody does. And I was like, oh shit. Like oh man, I couldn't believe that I was saying dies instead of does.
I clocked that early doors. So when I went and listened to the album, I was like, oh, he's got that wrong.
Oh man.
But like, because I hadn't heard of it like before, I've got full immunity of that. But yeah, man, that mistake is yours.
Yeah, I know. I own it. It's just that it's my second mistake that I've made. And
listen, we're early in this podcasting game, man. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Listen, the listeners ain't going to worry about it.
The mistake is okay. It's the fact they happened at the exact same part of each episode. It's like I'm gonna be super, like, you know,
on the
clear,
ball.
on the ball this time. Yeah.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
Go
cool.
on. Give me the intro.
Yeah. So, well, this is Nobody Cares Till Everybody Does. But yeah, let's get that clear. I got it right this time. Nobody Cares Till Everybody Fucking Does. All right, by Kofi Stone. I'm sorry, Kofi, if you ever listen to this, which I hope you do. I'm sorry I butchered your album name, and I keep claiming I love the album so much.
All right, cool. So my reaction to this
David,
album.
what did you think? Yeah, what did you think?
Wow. Okay. So you were right. Last podcast, you said that I would enjoy the album art, and
Yeah.
you said, when you see the album art, you will definitely be in. I saw the album art, love the album art, and it totally sold me. Right. Next thing I looked at was the track list, right, and I was thinking, okay, 15 tunes.
Yeah.
Decent sounding album, decent length of album. Cool, let me get into it. I blinked and the album was finished. There isn't a song that I dislike on this album at all. There are so many influences that I can hear throughout the album, which just permeate all the way through, right?
Yeah.
What I also love about this album is, again, the authenticity of Kofi Stone. He is somebody that he needed to have made this album exactly 10 years ago for me, because I personally would have resonated with it so much. To all people who say that time travel, for all people who say that time travel is impossible, I beg to differ, because when I listened to this album, I was 10 years younger. Like I remembered feeling like all of these old feelings and remembering the situations that I was in and stuff, and the way in which Kofi sort of speaks about his experiences. But not only that, he goes one step further than Loyal Kana does.
Right.
Kofi goes into like his psychology. It's incredible, right? There's a couple of instances where he talks about his absentee father, like he never cared, he never did anything for us. But then later on in the album, he'll come back to that and he'll say, maybe this chronic low self-confidence is because my father was never around, and things like that. And you're thinking,
it all ties in, right?
Yeah, I was thinking, my goodness, I didn't expect to like be let in to somebody's brain like that. Do you know what I mean? When you listen to a lot of rap, a lot of conscious rap, especially like one of my favorites is Talib Kweli.
I knew that.
He's one of my
him and conscious rap just goes together.
Exactly. And that was when I was listening to him, I was like, oh my goodness, this is stuff you're talking about religion and the essence of human life and living and dying and all of that in between. But you get like thoughts of Talib Kweli. I have to go back and revisit his music, but from what I remember, you get a lot of thought of where his thoughts are. You get a lot of the sense of where his thoughts are. Whereas with Kofi Stone, he's letting you into how he ticks, how his brain works.
Yeah, it's a little bit deeper than just this is what I'm thinking. This is why I'm thinking this way. This is how I'm thinking.
Yeah. So I'll give you an example, right? So it's on. Hold on. Let me get the track. Oh, by the way, Diamonds in the Water is the instrumental is fantastic. The rapping is amazing.
Song, right?
Yeah, first song.
Yeah, those drum sounds are so beautiful, like they're so nicely. Yeah.
Oh man, listen, I'm going to be talking about quite a few tracks. So there's track number 3, which is Dirty Air Forces, right? Now, right. So you're going to get sort of a way into my brain. Sure. So I have grown up. But like in my family, like we had a couple of bereavements, like early doors, right?
Okay.
And it rocked the family. Sure. And one of the things, like how I've always grown up, is that I've never really cared about like what I wore, like if I had the latest trainers, if I looked a certain way, like jewelry. I don't wear jewelry. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Things like that. Yeah. Because I think I've always known what real wealth is. Like the fact of the matter is that, like, for those that have unfortunately passed on, I would trade everything that I have just to spend 30 seconds with them. Give them a hug, tell them I love them, and be like, all right, peace out.
Yeah,
and sure. I think anybody would be, really, when we really
we really get down to it.
Think about it. Yeah, absolutely. And what I love about Kofi Stone, right, is that he agrees with me when he says, like, I'm in my dirty Air Forces, got to help my mama pay the mortgage. Doesn't matter. I know I'm gorgeous. Like,
yes.
And it's just like, I never thought I was gorgeous, right? But it's just like, I always thought that I was all right. Like, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, the clothes on your back don't determine your actual wealth. You're actually worth way more than that.
100%,
and, you know, that really resonates with me and it's just great to listen to for me anyway. Just like, yep, Kofi, that's fine. I never cared about it either. I love the song Same Old and After Hours. I thought that was cool. A Beautiful Tragedy is a fantastic tune. It's very, very dramatic. It's almost like being stuck in stuck in a storm at sea. It's very because when you get that piano, it's like that maelstrom piano, and the bass is like 2 or 3 notes just descending.
Right.
Already I'm thinking, oh my goodness, like what's going on? And then he starts rapping over the top of it, like, this is a beautiful tragedy. It's just like, whoa, like, my goodness, like your whole world is ending, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness, let's go on. Nobody Cares Till Everybody Does. Like, that is a fantastic little interlude, right? Because I think that's the halfway point of the album for me. Because just before that actually is It's Okay to Cry. I wish I heard this album 10 years ago, right? Because
I had a similar thought. I wish I heard it a little bit earlier in my life. So I don't mind talking about it, but like just a quick one. I remember, so oh my goodness, just over 10 years ago, my grandfather in the Caribbean, he passed away, and it was rough, right? Because I was stuck in England and there was snow and I couldn't get out there. But I wish I heard this song then, because like I kind of, at the time I was stoic, right? Stoic. For sure.
I was like, no, I'm cool. I'll wear it. I managed to get out there a couple of months later. And then you just sort of deal with it then. But I wish that I'd heard this song then, because I probably would have given in and just been like, I feel terrible, you know?
Yeah, and would have openly like worn that, you know?
Yeah, like, and that's the thing. It's fantastic. Like, so as you can tell already, this album has resonated with me on such a personal level, on so many scales. Oh no, honestly, thank you so much.
Nah, it's cool.
Right, and then when we get into
it's all about.
Yeah, absolutely. But then we get into Busker Flow, like a bit of dynamism in the delivery, right? Like, this is what I want when I get rap.
That's the one
like
where he's switching up the flows and stuff, right?
That's exactly it.
Is that the one with the that kind of flow that he's putting in, right? Like, who would have thought that? As in, what I like is that, like, as you know, as you're listening to the album, some people might like want to just like show you, like, look, I'm really skilled, right? He just, same with what we're talking about D'Angelo, he kind of sticks to his guns. He does what needs to be done, right? So he talks and tells his story. And when he's on Busker Flow, I mean, it makes sense for a song called Busker Flow, because if he's going to be busking, you are trying to get people's attentions.
Absolutely.
And he's doing that, right? Attention. Yeah, so he's going to be doing that kind of that skippy kind of, you know, flow. And it's weird because that's what, like, I can't remember what track it is, but it's like after the first 5 tracks or so, he could have knocked that out of the park anytime.
Absolutely.
Early in the album. And you're talking about a 15-song album where you have to have faith in the listener that they're going to not even turn away from seeing 15 songs. Because I know some people that will probably see 15 songs be like, nah, I'm not with that, right? They won't even listen. And he has faith that your average fan might just get to that point and then be like, whoa, where was this? You know? But he doesn't use it as a crutch. It's cool. It's nice to know that he can do it, you know? There's some power in that he can do it, and he's not
he
just
holds back.
Yeah, he's using it when necessary. It's just part of his skill set. He doesn't need to keep showing you all the time, I can do this, you know? Yeah, I had a feeling you were going to pick out that one. That comes just before the interlude, right? The title.
No, that's just after.
Just after, sorry.
Yeah. So it's Nobody Cares Till Everybody Does. Then it's Busker Flow, and it's. Do you know, it was only then, after the interlude, that I realised he had a bit of a lisp. didn't pick that up.
Yeah,
before.
he does have, because he's doing more spoken word during that part, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't notice. Like, well,
quite a
well
subtle
done.
one, right?
Yeah, really subtle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then it moves on to like Hugh.
Hugh's got an amazing beat.
Right.
I love. Yeah.
What song do you think that has been inspired by directly?
Oh, I'm trying to remember it. I just remember. I don't know.
Whose World Is This by Nas?
No, okay, yeah, because I was gonna say, I love the jazzy production and stuff.
Boy.
And that song sounds like it could fit within that landscape, just like the very last song, Karma. Those songs, that could be a Mobb Deep song. That sounds like a Havoc beat, right?
Yeah,
like,
for real.
Those songs could fit in that. That's a good comparison. The World Is Yours.
Yeah.
Like Hugh. I didn't put that together. It's such beautiful piano sounds in there.
Honestly.
Yeah, man, there was so much of that throughout.
Yeah. It's the thing is as well, the other kind of influences that I could hear, like, you know, the beats are all dynamic and the beats are fresh, but he is blatantly influenced by A Tribe Called Quest. That kind of jazzy underground sort of hip hop flow. It's very it's, for me, like, it's not so much direct, in your face sort of comparisons. It's just little wisps that I get influence. Like, he's somebody that studied like a lot of very, very good hip hop, and the production on this album is really, really good. And no two songs sound the same. They all have their unique flow, and the album flows as a result of that. I mean, Lost to the Streets is fantastic. Rodney Place is decent.
Rodney Place is great, yeah.
Yeah, is good. Stepfather is flipping dark. Like, that's very sad. And then Karma is just a great way to end the album. I mean,
100%,
this album is, it's got levels, and I think the greatest compliment I can give it, right? So, like, Loyal Kana last week, if somebody said to me, like, can you recommend an album for me?
Yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily put like Loyal Kana there, like, on an album that I would recommend. Like, off the top of my head, you'd have to specialize it. What's a kind of new school, inoffensive UK rap? I'd be like, okay, type. Loyal Kana.
Sure, yeah.
But with Kofi Stone's album, if somebody said to me, name me a hip hop album, name me a newish hip hop album, this is right up there. This is something that I'd recommend to somebody in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did.
Yeah. Like, it is strong. I can't really do it justice, really. You just have to listen to it.
You just have to listen to it.
I think there's something on there for everybody.
I agree.
And even if you're not into hip hop, I think that you will get a feel of getting to know somebody, which is rare, right? Like, a lot of people say that, that's why they resonate with singers like Adele, because it's like their friend, they're getting to know their friends, sort of thing. I get that same feel from Kofi Stone. I get that same sort of...
Kofi Stone is the Adele of hip hop.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's fantastic. He's fantastic.
He is great. Yeah. I came across him when I was listening to, funnily enough, Loyal Kana. I knew you were going to do that. I was waiting for it. But yeah, I keep seeing this guy's name and I keep hearing about him. So I just went onto his profile and I saw the album, and he just had the one album. I was like, okay, cool. I like the front cover, and I like, on the cover you can see he's doing the busking thing, right? And it ties into the interlude. I imagine the front cover when I get to the interlude.
Yeah.
Right. And then Busker Flow makes sense to come after that, because then he's doing that to, keep their attention.
Get the attention. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I remember just listening to it one evening when I just couldn't sleep, and it was just, I don't know what time in the morning, and I was just sitting there in the kitchen, just and just sat there and just listened to the whole thing. And that doesn't always happen, you know. It's usually just happening in the background, and especially on first listen. But this one, it was like every song, and it became one of those albums where I would just sit and I couldn't wait, because of the strength of the first song, then the second song, and then the fucking hard as fuck drums on Dirty Air Forces was just are so nicely mixed, like that they just pop out of the headphones or whatever you're listening to them on.
Yeah,
definitely. And they pop so nicely. They're just, oh man. And off the strength of each song, you're thinking, I can't wait to hear what the next song is going to bring.
Absolutely.
It's built that trust in you. The sequencing, damn, like basically perfect, right?
Absolutely.
Now, when you say Rodney Place and you were saying, you know, it's decent, are you saying that, is that your way of saying like it's a good song? Not like the rest of them are though.
It's a good song. It just, I might need to listen to it again and again and again before I
feel you on that. It's not the most replayable song.
Yeah, it didn't
grab
have
the
me.
content. Yeah, it has a lot of good content. I don't know, that one just wasn't like up to it for me. But I can't really, I don't know what else. I don't know what. Yeah, this album just really hit me when I heard it, and it's been something I've kind of tried to get other people into. And then, so when we were doing this, and obviously I thought the Loyal Kana album, I thought that'd be interesting. And then after we did that episode, or just before the episode, we kind of made sure we hadn't listened to the next exchanges, right?
Yeah.
So we like did that check, right? I was like, oh shit, yeah, Kofi Stone, perfect. I had this feeling that you would be into it. You know, I don't know if I anticipated you really connecting with it the way you did, though. I had a feeling I'd be surprised if you didn't like it, obviously.
Yeah.
But the way you're connecting with it, it's really great that's doing that. If that makes sense.
Oh man,
you know,
there are so many different levels.
Yeah, like the personability of this song, this album, and the way he's bringing himself across, and he's not. Yeah, it's kind of got the Loyal Kana thing where this could just be your mate again, except that he's really letting you in. Like he's being very transparent with you, very much so.
Yeah, he's putting his trust in you, like not to let him down. He's been let down already enough, and he's putting his trust in you, like that you won't let him down. You know.
Yeah, I'm glad that you feel this way about it, and because when it hit me, I was like, I went to try and find the vinyl for it.
Yeah,
it was all sold out on his website. I was like,
oh.
And you know, I remember tweeting about the album straight away as soon as I heard it. He liked the tweet, I think, as well.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if you retweeted it, but I think he liked the tweet. And so he's like one of those artists that people know of him in the scene.
Yeah.
But, he's still pushing, you know. I mean, he has the one album. He has a few songs. At least I saw on Spotify. So he's still pushing. So I think this is still kind of early in his career, right? So
yeah,
which is good, because I guess as a listener, you're like, okay, I can look forward to hearing more soon. I hope.
Man, we can grow with him. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Because he's definitely got the lyrical fortitude to paint new pictures and tell new stories. You know.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Like the painting what did you say? Paint new pictures, tell new stories. That's really his bag. You know, he's very lyrical, but in that sense, which is really good, because his imagination will really come through, and his life experience will really come through for some really engaging kind of content.
Definitely. And you get the sense that he can do, like, he's got a variety of styles in him. He's got this really, it's not passive, but it's there. I think the word is latent. He's got this latent, seething rage underneath his.
Really?
Yeah. He's got this. There are elements to the way that he says some things, especially when it's about like his dad or the guy actually, Tony. Like
I agree with that actually.
Yeah. So you get that underneath, like all of his, you know, all of his thoughtful rapping, there is this level of rage. unending rage that he has, that he has to grow past and stuff, and that is also something that I can certainly like understand on a personal level, and that's something that I think only when you've had it you can see it, you know.
Yeah, it's like it's you can kind of hear it coming out, and it's like in slight parts, so you know that it's in there. But I wonder if a full like rage song would have suited this project, you know. So like it probably wouldn't, right?
Nah, you've got to craft the album in such a way that that sort of lends itself to an all-out anger song, right? So I mean, just from the first track to a rage song doesn't really go. You've got to kind of start aggy and then build up to it. Whereas on this album, like there's no way he could do like a full-on like angry song. Not on this album. It wouldn't fit.
I don't think it wouldn't fit the vibe, and it would be like you've kind of I get it. You might get the song in isolation, but it's like when you're listening to the album as a whole, you might be like,
it doesn't work. On an EP, on a short EP, like on a 4-song EP or something like that, you can afford to do like three sort of hip hop tunes and then like one rage track at the end. Like you can do that on an EP, you can do anything. But on an album, you know, he's very respectful to his listening audience as well, in the sense that he's kept it. I know it's 15 songs, but it feels brief. He's kept it sort of short, curt, and straight to the point on a lot of the songs. So it's just a very, very good. It's a really good listen, and my goodness, I am struggling what to give it out of 10. And
I was going to say, what would you give it out of 10?
So what did I give Loyal Kana? I gave him 6.5, right?
You gave him a bullshit 6.5. So
I'll still stand by that, you know.
Yeah, you should be ashamed of that. But yeah, go on. We Move. It's cool.
We Move. This is obviously the album to beat, right? So I will give this. Do I give it an 8 or an 8.5? I'll give it an 8.5.
Cool. That's better.
I'll give it an 8.5 because it resonated with me so much. This is hip hop that I absolutely love and adore. It's music that, you know, what grabs me first about hip hop is always the tune first. Any type of music, in fact, it is always the music that grabs me first. Then it's the lyrics that I listen to. And on every single song on this album, I was captivated by the music. On some songs more than others, that's absolutely natural when you're listening to an album. But for the most part, I couldn't say that any song was bad. I couldn't say that any song was ill-conceived or thought or didn't belong on this album. This is craftsmanship at its best. It's brilliant. And anyone who's like a hip-hop lover and who wants to get into UK hip-hop a bit more, Kofi Stone's your guy. He's your first stop now.
For sure.
Until I hear better, like this guy's the UK
the new ambassador
MC to beat.
Yeah, no, I think I'd agree. I think before, I don't know who I would have picked, but I mean, depends. I mean, I'll always pick Kano if he's in the conversation. But if we're talking about new kind of
new guys,
Kofi Stone is probably, after hearing this album, he's my new pick. For like, okay, if you want to get into this, go to this guy. Like, go Kofi Stone. It's this one album. Just listen to it. Spend some time with it. And yeah, man, I really want to get the vinyl because I love the album cover as well.
Yeah, it's wicked.
Yeah, it's so good, and the music looks like the album cover, you know?
Yeah, correct. Do you know what the album cover reminds me of? Even though I don't know what it is that does. Maybe the simplicity of the lines. It might. I don't know.
Yeah.
Music for My Friends by Sky Zoo.
Ah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's just a slightly different color palette.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Dory, in the video, we'll show the two covers on screen.
Cool.
People will see it for themselves.
I can't wait to do Music for My Friends.
We should do a deep dive on Sky Zoo anyway, and so we can talk about that shit, because I'd love to talk about that. I mean, for the listeners, I'm sure, you know, You can tell by now we're big Sky Zoo fans. We talked about like what 3 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
Now.
Sorry.
And off air as well. We just that was its own episode in its own right.
We will have to do that
for sure
at some point.
Is it wrong of me to say I didn't really like the title track on this album that much?
Oh really?
I'm just not really into that kind of spoken word rap thing. It comes off a little corny to me.
See, I don't mind a bit of spoken word. Like, I know what you mean about the corniness, but I think that it's, I think that it serves the album well. It's a great little interlude between part 1 and part 2 of the album because the mood shifts on this album. It's a great little divider.
No, I agree.
Yeah, it's a comma on the album, and it also
if you think of it that way, I never skip it. It doesn't bother me like that. It's just kind of like I sort of mentally kind of tune out a little bit.
Oh, fair enough, man.
Yeah. Like I get the story, I get the image in my head when he's building up the crowd and stuff, and it's just that I thought I might warm to it, but every time I listen to it, I kind of cringe a little bit and I tune out. And that might be that's more my problem. That's not Kofi's problem. That's my problem because I have a problem with certain things really make me cringe. Yeah. And sometimes I can't figure out why. So when it's not done very, very well, that's the wrong way of putting it. I think he does do it well. It's just it doesn't
resonate with you.
It just doesn't resonate for me. It just I end up tuning out without realizing it. So that's the only bad thing I can say about this whole thing. This and Rodney Plays the Beat maybe is not as great as the others. That's it. That's literally all I can say because everything. Oh, Talk About Us. That song is beautiful. That chorus, that when we talk, when they talk about us, when we talk about real love, I don't want no hard questions. I don't want no half stepping when they talk about us. Like the way he sings that, KaeDee Sulman, where he sings, I don't know if I said his name right. The way he sings that, the beat is so low key and simple. Like there's not much high end on the drums and stuff. Oh, it's just that stays stuck in my head so often. Right now, even and the piano. The keys, sorry, not piano. Yeah, the kind of keys in the back and stuff. Just I had to mention that song. That song is my absolute favorite at the moment.
Cool.
Might be it might be Hugh at the moment, but that song,
right, I mean, when it comes to picking my top 5, it's got to be Diamond. Man, Diamonds in the Water, Dirty Air Forces. Talk About Us, Beautiful Tragedy. Oh my days. No, actually, no. It's going to be Dirty Air Forces, Talk About Us, Beautiful Tragedy, It's Okay to Cry, and Hugh.
Yeah, cool.
That's a very difficult thing.
That's difficult. That's our 14 to 15 solid, just hard-hitting songs. How are you going to pick really 5? Good. Picking a third of that. Like,
in all fairness, I could have picked pretty much all but 2 to be in my top 5. I think that's praise enough. So he deserves his 8.5
for sure. I understand. Could I ask what makes it an 8.5? Is it just feeling?
Oh goodness. So this. Only time will tell whether this is a classic album or not.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It also depends on like how will I feel in a year's time, as this is new music to me. Like I can only go with how I'm feeling right now. I think an 8.5 is fair. In the way that it resonates with me. In the way that the music is done. I mean, it just lends itself to me. I think that I would give a higher a rating if I thought this was like a classic album that has to be listened to like by everybody, It's like going back to D'Angelo, like when we were younger, we knew we were listening to a classic.
Sure.
It was when you're listening to something that will stand, or not so much stand the test of time, because
something that's special, something that's
really special. Yeah. Like D'Angelo felt like a secret, but everybody knew him. But you know what I mean?
I 100% agree with you. I think that feeling does exist. Like when I heard Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, when I heard Good Kid, Mad City by when I heard To Pimp a Butterfly by Kendrick, I ran that back twice, right, in a row.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is something else. This is special. And to this day, that is probably one of the best albums I've heard. And
I'll agree with that.
yeah, and it stayed relevant. It shifted the culture. Good Kid, Mad City definitely shifted the culture.
Totally did.
So, and you could tell that from the beginning that it was. You can make a good, educated guess that that's what it was going to do.
Yeah.
It might not have. It could have been just a great album, and no one followed suit.
You just knew as soon as the album opened, and it kind of put you on like high alert, and you're like, whoa, oh my goodness, like what's going on?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, it just
Yeah.
everything about that was sort of transformative.
Mate,
But yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I don't get that vibe from Kofi Stone. I get like
This is just a great.
he has the potential to launch, like to do an album which would just blow everything away. If anyone can do it, this guy can do it. So yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So, do we want to go and do our exchanges for next week?
For sure. I'm going to look up the album that I'm thinking of, just so I don't make any mistakes.
Yeah.
In the title, anything. Go on. Do you want to go first?
Hold on one sec. I can't even spell anymore. Right, here we go. I am gonna. So, staying in with the sort of new but old school, I am going to give you an album by Jill Scott.
Okay.
It is from 2007, and it's an album called Beautifully Human.
Okay, cool.
Wait a minute. It's from 2004. Pardon me.
That's fine.
Ew, got that out there. It is an album that reminds me of university, man. Like, genuinely.
Okay.
It is a lovely... It's a really nice listen.
Sure.
It's it's quite unique as well. Yeah, I think I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Next week will be hip hop, but this one is nice.
No worries, man. I'm torn between two. Right now, I'm wondering whether to save the curveball for next week or not. How many Drake albums have you listened to?
Not many. I've only heard like songs, like songs like that. What's that tune with Rihanna? I don't know how to talk to you. Like that one.
Take Care.
I can't remember what it's called. That is a tune.
Sorry, that's not. That's Too Good. Sorry, that's what.
Too Good. There you go. And then I also like the tune Too Much. I like Pound Cake.
Okay.
And that's about the only Drake stuff I know.
Okay, well, that was not actually going to be the curveball, by the way, out of my choices. So there's something else that would have been the curveball.
Throw me the curveball.
Do you want the curveball?
Yeah, man.
Okay, well, I'll save Drake for another time.
Thank God.
Don't listen to any Drake from now to... No, I'm joking. But,
I won't. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so this one... it's not a joke or anything. I do genuinely really like this album. I'm just imagining you listening to it. But okay. This is
Oh mate, I'm with bated breath right now.
Okay. Do you know who an MC called Lowski is?
I've heard the name actually.
So he's from the UK.
Yeah.
He dropped this album last year. What? There's some good new shit coming out.
All right, coming in.
It's called it's in the title. Okay, it's called Music, Trial and Trauma, a drill story.
All right, okay.
I had this one planned since the inception of this show, and I thought I'd throw you a few softballs with Loyal and Kofi.
Right, okay, cool. And I carried on that tradition of nice, easy ones. I did ask for it, though. I did ask for it. So
yeah, I gave you the choice. I was going to give you
man.
another kind of, a bit of an easy going.
No, we'll make this. We'll spice it up because, like, you know, next week is revenge. You best.
Okay. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
Look, there's an early 2000s band, like a metal band called AC. AC, like, think of the worst two words you've ever thought of that start with A and a C, and that's them. And
okay.
They've done a song called Pottery. No, anyway, forget it. We can cut this. Don't worry about that. Nah, cool. I look forward to it, man.
Okay, cool. So yeah, low ski, music, trial and trauma, a drill story. Don't play it around your kids. Don't play it around your wife. She might wonder why you're listening to it.
Hide your wife.
Yeah. She might be like, why the fuck are you listening to this? But, you know, it is what it is. What was yours again? Jill Scott. What was the name of the album?
Beautifully Human.
Beautifully Human. Okay, cool. Again, Jill Scott, always on the list. I listened to one album of hers. It was something, Volume 1, Golden. What's that called?
Let me pull up a discography. Not Words and Sound. Was it Words and Sounds? The Light of the Sun?
Oh, it might have been Who is Jill Scott? Yeah, Words and Sounds Volume 1. So Beautifully Human is Words and Sounds Volume 2. Perfect, because that's the next one, isn't it? So, cool. All right, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, man. Cool. We're going to,
yeah.
Blow it out the park. All right, cool. So let's,
let's outro this shit.
Absolutely wrap this stuff up like you would a good old splay. Hey, man, my day's back at university. Anyway,
Okay.
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. If you made it this far, blessings to you and to all.
Blessings all around.
Yeah, literally, especially in these turbulent times we are living in, we are definitely all we have, people, alongside with the albums and our love for music. This has been a KaeDee Exchange podcast, and we will see you next time.
See you on the flip. Peace.